Good morning to the leadership collective of Limpopo, led by Professor Mapolo, and greetings to members of the media present here. We are going to start with the proceedings of the day. It would be important to note that you know that we have the chairperson of the EFF LIMPOPO, Professor Lawrence Mapolo, who is going to take us through people's presser. On my side, we have leadership Anton Batuta, who is the deputy chairperson of the EFF LIMPOPO. And then on the other side, we have the deputy provincial secretary, leadership Dunani, and the treasurer is in Cape Town on national deployment. The secretary is not here due to ill health. So it will be important to know, maybe we take the other mic, we introduce ourselves, members of the media who are here, so we know who is here and we start the process of the day without delay.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Thabiso Machada from Chadran FM.
We got indication that, oh yeah, yes. Oh, we're done then. We got indication that ENCA and ANN7 will join us online from wherever they are located. So without much delay, you are welcome here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very important press briefing, which is going to outline the marching orders and what the EFF has been doing and what we have uncovered in the course of our work. And it is in the interest of the people of Limpopo to know what is happening in the public purse and what is being done by those they have sent to legislature and other entities. I will hand over to the provincial chairperson, Commissar Mahawu Lawrence Mapolo, to take us through.
No, thank you very much, Mohanana, our provincial command team member, responsible for communication. And it is the chairperson of the province, Teresa Matumba, and the deputy secretary of our province, Fighter Zakambaling. And in absentia, like Fighter Law indicated, two of our colleagues, as you heard, or I want to put on that one, but just to firstly acknowledge and appreciate your presence and to our invite of this people's presence, and we don't take lightly. We appreciate indeed your presence, both physical and online as we speak. And as indicated, I think one would start by saying it is indeed the responsibility of this revolutionary movement to reflect in areas where we feel our people are under siege. Therefore, this revolutionary movement won't have time to be quiet when things goes the way they are currently unfolding in our Limpopo province. And we can't sit back when our people suffer. Meanwhile, indeed, people are busy with corruption, procurement fraud, and political patronage. The economic freedom fighters in Limpopo note with grave concern the growing body of allegations, whistleblowers, disclosures, documentary evidence, procurement records, labor concerns, media investigation, and governance failures, pointing toward a deepening crisis within the key institutions of the Limpopo provincial government. Across the Limpopo legislature, the Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure, Department of Health, Public and Infrastructure Programs, and other provincial entities, serious allegations continue to emerge regarding the procurement of irregularities, conflict of interest, political connected appointments, abuse of public resources, maladministration, tender manipulation, inflated contracts, and the victimization of the whistleblowers. The economic freedom fighters in Limpopo wishes to state unequivocally that it is not the responsibility of citizens, journalists, workers, whistleblowers, communities or opposition parties to prove that the government officials are innocent. It is the responsibility of government itself to prove that it is not on the right side of the law. Government must prove that procurement processes were lawful. Government must prove that appointments were lawful. Government must prove that the public purse spent for its intended purposes. Government must prove that conflicts of interest were properly declared. Government must prove that taxpayers' money received value for money. Government must prove that the public institutions are being administered in the interest of the people and not in the interest of the politically connected individuals. Public trust cannot be restored through denial, intimidation, or public relation exercise. Public trust can only be restored through transparency, disclosure, accountability, and independent investigation. The Limpopo legislature under a cloud. Reports have alleged that the legislature secretary, Timothy Mage, failed to declare a conflict of interest relating to Talani and associates and failed to rescue himself from matters involving the firm. While these allegations have been denied and remain matters requiring proper investigation, they raise serious questions that cannot simply be ignored. According to public reported information, Talani and associates received approximately 12.5 million from the Limpopo legislature between September and 2025 and March 2026. Questions have also been raised regarding the concentration on legal expenditure, procurement processes, governance, controls, and reported legal expenditure amounting to approximately 30 million rand. The EFF knows the controversy that surrounds the appointment of Timothy Marke as Secretary of the Legislature and the concerns raised by various stakeholders regarding the appointment. The people of Limpopo deserve full disclosure regarding these matters and an independent investigation into all procurement decisions, conflict of interest, declaration and related expenditure. Recent media investigation have also raised serious concerns regarding the forensic investigation report that remains incomplete and has not yet been released to the public. Reports suggest that the investigation relates to allegations of ghost employees who allegedly continue to receive payment through the legislature's payroll system, as well as allegations of procurement-related maladministration. The EFF believes that this forensic report must be finalized and be released without further delay. Significant public funds have already been spent on legal and investigative processes. We therefore afford the Limpopo legislature 14 working days to release the report to the public and relevant law enforcement agencies. On public works, like I said, there's a cloud of allegations on that particular department. The EFF received extensive information from whistleblowers, workers, concerned stakeholders, and the documentary sources regarding alleged irregularities within the Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure. These allegations include manipulation of procurement processes, interference in supply chain management processes, irregular appointment and promotions, abuse of authority, tender manipulation, inflation of project quantities and project values, favoritism toward service providers, victimization of whistleblowers and officials who attempted to raise concerns, disappearance or suppression of records, weak consequence management. The EFF knows that allegations repeatedly reference senior officials including SLS Boholisedi, Mamukhopane, Malepane, Ntabise Siku, Sitati Chweni, Ntotolo Mutsope, and other officials occupying strategic positions within the department. The EFF is not making findings of guilt against any individual. However, where the same names repeatedly emerge across whistleblowers, disclosures, labor concerns, procurement-related allegations, and governance complaints, the public is entitled to answers. The EFF further notes allegations related to tender processes including LBDWRI Road of stroke 2487 and the 120488, as well as allegations involving entities such as Cubic Professional Consultancy, Simiso Trading 135, Moramuleke Trading Pty Limited, and therefore to Merokedi JV. This allegation require agent forensic scrutiny. There's also a lot of questions that need to be raised regarding the Triple T Trust and undisclosed interest. The EFF is particularly concerned by allegations relating to the Triple T Trust and its alleged connection to senior political office bearers within the Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure. Whistleblowers and disclosures have raised questions regarding property ownership, trust structures, capital development, possible undisclosed interest, and potential of conflict of interest. If substantiated, this allegation would raise serious concerns regarding compliance with ethical obligations, conflict of interest declaration, and the integrity of procurement processes. The EFF therefore calls for full disclosure of all relevant declarations of interest, verification of trust records, verification of property ownership records, this office investigations, master's office verification, lifestyle audit of implicated individuals. The public deserves assurance that the public office is not being used for private enrichment, and also the head of the department must be held accountable for not taking any action against the implicated official. Instead, the HOD is rewarding them by transferring them to new responsibilities within the Department of Public Works, because if the official get fired or suspended, they will speak out the truth. So SEFF requests that the head of the department also be charged for not taking any action against who are responsible for corruption or fraud. On the issue of recruitment and qualification of government traders, the EFF knows concerns raised by the whistleblower, labor organization, and other stakeholders regarding recruitment processes, government institutions. These concerns include allegations for panel manipulation, irregular appointments, appointment of allegedly unsuitable candidates, qualification verification failures, recruitment processes that may not have complied with applicable requirements. Particularly concerns have been raised regarding appointment within the supply chain management, structures and allegations involving qualification-related matters and concerns. The EFF further notes concerns raised by organized labor, including how the PSA regarding government traders, nepotism, recruitment irregularities, and maladministration. These concerns must be subjected to an independent investigation. On education infrastructure, where it became or it is a milking cow, the EFF deeply concerned by allegations related to infrastructure projects. These projects are Chitakakana Secondary School, Makwesi Secondary School, Mukari Combined Secondary School or Combined School, Pufabada Primary School, Tabana Primary School, Hututu Secondary School, Molisha Low Secondary School, Lekoko Secondary School, Mukonyeleze Secondary School, Mayeke Secondary School, Nkateni Secondary School. Collectively, this project represents hundreds of millions of rands in public expenditure. Questions have been raised regarding procurement compliance project costing, quantity inflation, contractor performance, variation orders, project administration, and value for money. The EFF demands that every one of these projects be subjected to a forensic audit and physical verification process. The people of Limpopo deserve to know whether every rand spent delivered the infrastructure that was promised. On health procurement allegations, we require also an urgent scrutiny to that department. The EFF further calls for a comprehensive investigation into allegation concerns that have emerged regarding governance and procurement within the Limpopo Department of Health. These allegations are concerns include, but not limited to, procurement of medical equipment, scanner and specialized machinery acquisitions, food tenders, service provider appointments, payroll administration, alleged ghost employees, expenditure that require independent verification, forensic investigation that have not resulted in visible public accountability. The issue of COVID-19, personal protective equipment, referred as PPE, procurement remains a matter of significant public concern. It is an alleged that despite investigation into the expenditure of COVID-19 funds, there have been limited visible accountability. Questions continue to be raised regarding why disciplinary, civil or criminal processes have not publicly resulted in consequences for individuals who may have been implicated, if any, and why investigations have taken so long despite the seriousness of the allegation involving public funds. There have also been allegations that the investigation from a special investigation unit seized electronics devices, including mobile phones and laptops, from certain individuals during the course of their investigation. If these reports are accurate, the public deserves clarity on the status and the outcome of those investigations, particularly where allegations involve the misuse of public funds intended to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. Furthermore, allegations have been made that certain former officials, including the then MEC of Health, the former head of department, the former chief of staff, the then chief financial officer, and other individuals involved in procurement processes may have played a role in decisions relating to the appointment of companies that supplied, in decisions relating to the appointment of companies that supplied COVID-19 materials and at allegedly inflated prices. It has further been alleged that some companies that benefited from these procurement processes were connected to recommendations originating from individuals who exercised influence over procurement within the department. These allegations remain untested and should be investigated thoroughly by the relevant law enforcement authorities. There are also allegations concerning the unexplained accumulation of wealth by certain former public officials, including claims that business interests and assets may be inconsistent with their known source of income. If there is credible evidence supporting the allegation, the EFF calls upon the SIU, the Hawks, the Asset Forfeiture Unit, and other competent authorities to conduct a comprehensive lifestyle audit and financial investigation into those individuals, including any related entities or family members where permitted by law, where there are lawful grounds to do so. The EF further received allegations that contracts relating to the supply of oil to various hospitals may have been awarded to companies allegedly linked to certain current or former officials, politically connected individuals. These allegations require urgent and independent investigation too, to determine whether procurement laws, conflict of interest, provision and other applicable legislation were complied with. Similarly, allegation has been made that company involved in the transportation of medicine to hospital and clinics continue to benefit from the Department of Health contract despite alleged familiar or business connections or politically exposed persons. This allegation has not been proven, but it is substantiated. They may point to recent serious government failures and possible conflict of interest that requires investigation by the relevant authorities. The EFF therefore called upon the current political leadership of the department, together with all relevant law enforcement and the oversight institutions, to ensure that these allegations are investigated without fear of favor or prejudice. Where any evidence of criminality, corruption, fraud, collusion, maladministration, and unlawful enrichment as established through due processes, those responsible must be held fully accountable. These allegations concern resources intended to save lives and provide healthcare service to the people of Limpopo. They cannot be ignored. The people of Limpopo deserve transparency, accountability, and justice. If that was not enough, the Gambling Board of Limpopo, the EFF further becomes aware of concerns regarding the replacement and appointment of members to the Limpopo Gambling Board. We have learned to the appointment of Mr. Hendridi Pete as a member of Deputy Chair of the Limpopo Gambling Board. Serious concerns and allegations have emerged regarding the processes leading to his appointment. If these allegations are substantiated, the appointment may be inconsistent with the provision of the Limpopo Gambling Act and the principle of transparent, accountable, and merit-based public appointment. The EFF therefore calls upon the MEC responsible for the appointment process to publicly disclose the processes followed, the criteria applied, the recommendation made, and all relevant documentation relating to the appointment in order to ensure the public that the law was fully complied with. The people of Limpopo are entitled to know whether all statutory requirements were testified and whether the appointment process was conducted fairly, transparently, and in accordance with applicable legislation. Any appointment does not comply with the requirements of the Limpopo Gambling Act would undermine the public confidence in the governance of the board and would warrant appropriate scrutiny and corrective action. The EFF therefore calls for full transparency regarding the appointment of Mr. Ripete and all recent appointments to the Limpopo Gambling Board. As this is just a pattern to state capture and government failure, when viewed individually, each allegation may appear isolated. When viewed collectively, a disturbing pattern begins to emerge. A pattern each politically connected individual are repeatedly alleged to benefit while communities continue to suffer. A pattern in which procurement repeatedly becomes the gateway through which public money is diverted away from service delivery. A pattern in which whistleblowers allegedly fail victimization, while those accused of wrongdoing remain protected. A pattern in which accountability mechanism appears weak, compromised, or ignored at all. A pattern in which public institutions struggle to account for expenditure, appointment, and procurement decisions. The people of Limpopo cannot be expected to accept this as normal. Limpopo is approaching Section 100 if all we are not careful on that, unless the bosses suppresses this. The candidate The cumulative effect of the allegation emerging from the legislature, public works, education, health, and other institutions raises serious concern regarding the ability of provincial institutions to fulfill their institutional obligation effectively, lawfully, and transparently. Section 100 of the Constitution provides for the national intervention, where province does not feel and execute obligation in terms of the Constitution or legislation. The EFF is increasingly concerned that persistent allegations of corruption, procurement irregularities, maladministration, abuse of public resources, failures of accountability, and weak consequence management points toward a governance crisis that may ultimately warrant consideration of intervention in terms of Section 100 of the Constitution. We do not make this observation lightly. However, when allegations continue to emerge across multiple departments and institutions without visible accountability, constitutional intervention, inevitably it becomes a matter of public interest. There was also an employee who resigned from the office of the Premier Limpopo because she was seconded to one of the departments for intervention. She refused to take mandatory in that department. She was frustrated and resigned because of illegal instructions. EF defends oversight public funds and constitutional rights. The economic freedom fighters in Limpopo remains unwavering in its constitutional responsibility to exercise oversight over the executive, protect public resources, and defend the rights of the people of our province. This is precisely why we continue to expose corruption, procurement irregularities, financial mismanagement, and the abuse of public funds wherever they occur. Recently, the EFF successfully convinced the Provincial Disaster Management Committee to reject the proposed disaster relief budget after raising serious concerns regarding what we consider to be unjustified cost escalation, and the apparent attempt to use disaster relief funding to address long-standing service delivery backlogs and government failures of this Limpopo province. Disaster relief funds are intended to provide urgent assistance to communities affected by disaster, not to compensate for years of government failures or poor planning. The EFF will continue to ensure that every cent of public money is properly accounted for before any expenditure is approved. Those responsible for submitting inflated, irregular, and unjustified costs must be held accountable in accordance with the law. This is the work of the EFF performed every day in the legislature and municipalities across Limpopo on behalf of our people. It is therefore deeply concerning that as the EFF intensifies its oversight role and continues exposing maladministration, allegations continue to emerge of intimidation directed at EFF members and supporters. The EFF has noted with serious concern reports from the Rapatokwane alleging that security officer employed by CAN Security Solutions and stationed at Rapatokwane Library has been subjected to disciplinary action arising from his participation in a lawful political activities outside working hours. Let me switch this a bit. If these allegations are confirmed, such conduct would represent a disturbing attack on the constitutional right of workers to freely associate with the participation in political organization of their choice outside working hours, provided that such participation does not interfere with the lawful execution of their employment duties. No employee should be victimized, intimidated, or subjected to unfair disciplinary processes because of their lawful political beliefs or affiliation. The EFF calls can security solutions and the relevant authorities to ensure that any disciplinary process is conducted fairly, lawfully, impartially, without political bias. We further call the Department of Education to certify itself that services providers operating within its facilities fully respect the Constitution, labor legislation, and the political rights guaranteed to every South African. The EFF will never be intimidated into abandoning its constitutional mandate, whether in the legislature, municipal council, or within our communities. We will continue to expose corruption, defend democratic freedoms, safeguard public resources, and ensure that those entrusted with public office remain accountable to the public of Limpopo. Therefore, the EFF demands action. The EFF hereby afford the Limpopo provincial government, the Limpopo legislature, and all affected departments a period of 14 days from the date of this statement to publicly respond to the matters raised herein to indicate that investigative and corrective measures are being undertaken. Should no satisfactory response be received within 14 days, the EFF will proceed with further action, including approaching the public protector, approaching the Auditor General of South Africa, requesting intervention by the Special Investigation Unit, approaching the Hawks and the National Prosecuting Authority where evidence warrants criminal investigation, requesting intervention from relevant national government structures, pursuing appropriate legal remedies through the courts. The EFF further confirms that it is currently working with legal practitioners, investigators, and other professionals to assess, verify, and qualify information received from whistleblowers, procurement records, public documents, and media reports. This process is intended to ensure that all allegations are subjected to proper scrutiny and that credible evidence is placed before the appropriate authorities. Our objective is not political sensationalism, but our objective is accountability, transparency, and the protection of public resources on behalf of the people of Limpopo. In conclusion, whether it is Limpopo legislature, public works, health education, the Limpopo Gambling Board, infrastructure project, procurement processes, trusts, or allegations concerning politically connected individuals, the principle remains the same. Public office is a public trust. Those entrusted with public power must be prepared to account fully to the people. The people of Limpopo continue to endure collapsing infrastructure, deteriorating roads, under-resourced hospitals, unemployed and poverty, while billions of rand flow from public institutions every year. They deserve answers. They deserve accountability. They deserve a government that serves the people, rather connected elite. The EFF will continue to stand with whistleblowers, communities, and honest public servants in the fight against corruption and maladministration. The era of impunity must come to an end. And we are saying there's still a role in mass action of pressers who will be notified as we move, unfolding this as a clear indication that we need to put our people abreast with all the things that are currently happening in our shore. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Commissar Mapolo, the chairperson of the EFF in Limpopo. We will then take this opportune moment and accord media houses a moment to pose questions or seek clarity as per submission made. Yara, please help with the mic.
Well, okay, thank you so much for the time. Are there any criminal cases that you have opened as the EFF against those accused of corruption and tender irregularities in the province? You mentioned that there are various tender irregularities from the Department of Public Works, Health, Education. Have you opened any cases recently, and what are those cases, if any, has been opened at the moment? Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Machaka from Tanzania FM again. I'm just interested to get your reaction, Provincial Chair, on the Provincial Secretary for the Legislature has been placed on a professional suspension. I'm not sure if you've gotten an opportunity to see that, but he was placed on a professional suspension until the 31st of July. What is your reaction to that? Are you welcoming that? And also, I'm interested to find out if you have read into all these departments where you're saying that there are irregularities and allegations of corruption against some of the senior officials. Have you written to Public Works, Health, Education? Because I saw at the end of the statement you're saying that you've given them 40 days to respond to the allegations, and only then you take further action if the response is not declared. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question. To what extent is the legislature effect in holding provincial governments accountable? Some of the allegations you track them to profit. So the current administration is 2 years in office, and every year each department presents its annual report, tables its annual report, its provincial department tables its annual report. So to what extent is the legislature effective in holding individual departments accountable? My question is, the issues that you are raising now, have you raised them in the legislature? And how effective is the legislature in holding provincial departments accountable?
Are we done with the first round of questions? Yeah, the leadership can zoom into that space. Thank you, Chairman.
No, thank you very much for raising those questions. The first one deals with the opening of cases. I think it's very clear when we present this to you to say, well, given the current authorities who are in government to respond within a particular period by 14 days, failure for them to respond, we will take appropriate steps quite professional in approaching the other authorities that will be able to investigate, being the SIU, the public protector, and any other Chapter 9 institutions like the Human Rights Commission to intervene in, and giving us support to investigate all the allegations presented to them. Like you say, they must use court. The ball now is in their court. If they are truthful to the people, they'll come clean and not become defensive or try to play political gymnastics. Second question, it deals with the reaction of the precautionary leave given to the Secretary of the Legislature. You know, I think it is the EFF who are the first, no one else. When we were criticized, even by the media, to say we are interfering, we talk things that we don't know. We have raised this matter at the level of the legislature, and you, as journalists, others who captured the matter, to say the appointment of this person, the secretary of the legislature, is not in accordance with the prescripts of the law. And we said it, and nobody supported us. Today, a few months later, Balbalisha saw, but no, the EFF was correct. Then they implement what we've been saying. Now, therefore, I think we are not amazed by those precautionary leave given to him. And if they play the ANC politics also through the legislature money, will be observing if there are factional tendencies that are brought to the legislature by their fight. The third one said, what are we going to do if nothing is done after 14 days period? If they, you know, I think it's related to the first question. It's very clear that there's a rule of law unless we live in the Banana Republic. There are very serious allegations. These are not thumb-sucking allegations. We say we speak of allegations with documentation that we feel we see. We see even other submissions of other organs of civil society, individual staff component who present issues, who are not afraid to say these are the things that happened. Organized labor entities also have made submission. Unfortunately, because the ANC is abusing the majority even in the legislature. And while here they don't listen to the voice of reason, we always palm that knowledge into their heads. They implement it late, like the one of the legislature, the secretary of legislature who is on precautionary leave. We told them long ago. Now, we are going to take steps. We are the law-abiding organization. We are going to make sure that we follow everything to the letter and make sure that we substantiate our allegations, because we know these allegations are truthful. They must answer, they must be accountable, especially the same premier of your province. I think those are things that we will take them forward and make sure that they don't disappear into thin air. No amount of intimidation will threaten us, nothing. We are not afraid of anything. We know what is happening in the background, what their intentions. But we are saying this must be within 14 days. The ball also is in your court, and go. And some of the things you reported them before, you know them how to go and change them. Thanks.
Thanks, Baba. As we...
Oh, sorry. Hey, I'll find my dear brother there will say it will be the second attempt to him. To what extent is the legislature effective on holding the executive accountable? You know, and I feel pity because we are not part of the system. Ask us who are within that pot that is boiling. I said the ANC is abusing its majority. But as I speak right now after this conference, you can see the pot is creaking. There are those that trying to need to put the executive accountable, but also they are doing it to pursue the route of the ANC. The reason why we can't respect them, even if now they're starting to realize that they have to have teeth to bite those that have wronged the purse of the government. But unfortunately, because they belong to one pot, they are cooked from one pot, unfortunately they are not going to implement it. They're just buying us our faces, we see them. They think we can stop doing what we're doing today. So now we're going to proceed. If they fail to be accountable in the chambers, we'll make them account to the people. That is our position. Because they know inside they use their majority to suppress the voice of reason. Therefore, we're left with no option but to go to the people and inform the people the reality that is going on in that legislature. We're still coming with municipalities. This is the first batch. Within a week, you are going to be called about the municipalities. Now you can see the state of affairs regarding service delivery at your own step door. When you move out of your gate, when you put it reverse, you fall into a pothole. We are coming to that also. These municipalities, will be dealing with them. In 2 weeks' time, you might be called again and expose that the separation of powers is not used within all these two levels or spheres of government. Thank you.
Thanks, Chairperson. As we move to the next part, we still call upon the people of Limpopo, in particular young people, to make sure that they register to vote for the EFF, so that we eliminate these tendencies that the Chairperson spoke about. It is an opportunity to give you another chance, those who want to make follow-ups or further questions before we can move towards closure. SAPC, I see, there's another hand here. After that, thank you.
Earlier on, while we were waiting for you, I was sitting with your press secretary outside, and I told him that I can't wait to try to know when your manifesto is launched. So I want to know, this press conference, is this your first firing shot towards the elections? If so, what is your state of readiness? What are your targets? Do you think you'll up the numbers compared to the last elections? Thank you.
Thank you. I think part of the question was asked by my colleague, but I let it go. Also, just clarity speaking to the first question that I posed, I don't think, Mr. Wabulo, you quite understood what I was trying to get to. I just wanted to find out if the EFF has formally written to the Department of Education, Public Works, Health, as well as the Limpopo Governing Board with regards to this allegation. Have you submitted any formal complaint or anything tangible to this
participating in committees, we are making submissions, hence the reference that the EFF actually stopped the massive looting through disaster relief fund. We sit in those committees. It is us who said this is not going to pass, it must go back. So we continue engaging, but we have decided to make sure that they account publicly, because sometimes they ignore our questions or take time to reply. Chairperson.
Yeah. You know, since we were sent by the votes of our people, we went to that legislature. I think it's almost the past 3 administrations, the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th, where we're making motions, submissions. The other one of requesting that they must give the chiefs, the queens, and the kings the medical aid. A simple thing. Forget about these others of London. They don't respond to anything. I said they are using their majority to suppress this voice of reason. Now, it is unfortunate that we come publicly now. We don't have anywhere to go. We go back to our people. And those that feel the suffering because of non-delivery of services. This is not the first shot. We've been shooting all the way. We've been shooting. We never started today. We've been saying all these things. People not believing. And even today, we are continuing doing what we've been doing yesterday. We can't stop. But today now, because we are all here seated, it's not seen as the first firing shot. I think it might be the 10th firing shot. We've been there with you. And the outcome of elections is very clear. The people are going to elect the EFF without any doubt. Where you are seated in Polokwane, the EFF is going to lose. People are tired. It's not a joke. People are tired. And they know that if they fail, after these 32 years of these failures, they are going to remain down in the dustbin of poverty. Now, therefore, I think the people are going to decide, and even yourself, even if you are a general, I invite you to vote for the Reds on the day of elections. I know you say it's a secret, but let it be a clear secret that our people are tired because we are part of the society. You are not a red outside the communities that we serve out there. Yeah, I think we've written, what written is the same. I'm saying, you know, they are Hansard. I think Talabo said they are recordings. Just go there, have time, and the questions that we submit. It is unfortunate the truth doesn't speak by millions, but one man can speak millions, more than a million times the truth, and make sure that the people hear. And we are here to do that.